Bydd ei glyfrwyniad heddiw yn cael ei glyfrwynio gan Robert Saunders and Colin Phillipson o Glass Data. Our presentation today will be delivered by Robert Saunders and Colin Phillipson from Glass Data. Rob yw Cif Cystadleuniad ac Arweinydd Technegol Glass Data, gyda cefndir mewn ffemio a technoleg. Ei nod yn dod â ffweu data ar ei AI a amaethyddiaeth. Colin yw Cystadleuniad Arweiniaeth Busnesau Glass Data. Mae ganddo dros 20 mlynedd o brofiad ym maes marchnata, hysbysebu a rheolau busnes, a mae'n sicrhau yn bod yn darparu llwyfan rheolau data syml I diwydiant amaethyddol Glass Core. Rob is the co-founder and technical lead at Glass Data, with a background is in farming and technology. His goal is to bring the power of data and AI to agriculture. Colin is the co-founder and business lead at Glass Data. He has over 20 years' experience in marketing, advertising, and business management, and ensures that we provide the agriculture industry with a simple data management platform, Glass Core. Now, fe's trosglwyddiad I Robert a Colin a Rob. I'll now hand over to Robert, Colin, and Rob.
Thank you very much. Yes, well, thank you for that introduction. We're Glass Data, and essentially what we've done is we've built out a system, our dashboard, to unify data within the agricultural industry. So all those siloed data areas, to bring them together in one place. This has taken so far, it's taken about 3 years, almost 3 years to the day actually, because October 2017 until now, and almost £500,000 to allow us to build the system out to what we've got today. And we are very proud to be able to present a very feature-rich system that can actually really offer value to the farmer themselves. So what's our approach? We've developed our dashboard, which we've called Glass Core, as a unifying dashboard to bring in data metrics from as many sources as possible into one place, and allowing the farmer then just to only needing to log into one area to view all their data. And this includes the various data sources. So we've got your relational data, which is your basic spreadsheets, real-time machine data, and here what we've done is we've focused on LoRaWAN technology, and then your geospatial data, which is something like your field boundaries, your RPA field boundaries. You can geolocate sensors and do land management tasks in that area. So this allows you to monitor and track everything and manage everything in one place. So this is just an example of the dashboard as you would see it. This shows some weather data, but essentially the system allows you to do myriad different tasks in one place. So we've got, you can track and aggregate your key metrics. The user interface, we're continually developing with user feedback to ensure that it remains as intuitive as possible and easy and simple as to use that we can make it. And then the data, our key remit with the data is to ensure that we give you the bottom line decision support that you need to actually make those key decisions on farm. So we understand that most farmers don't really care so much about the data as such as what they should do with it. So that's one of the key areas that we're looking at solving. So measure what's important to you. So with the Internet of Things, our IoT sensors that we've integrated quite a number of IoT sensors. I think there's almost 70 at the minute. From different specific requirements, from temperature, humidity, water depth, feed depth, weight, your geospatial tracking, the weather, whatever the case may be. We've actually looked at what is the easiest sensor that can be utilized for the farmer. So the question is not trying to push as many sensors as you can to the farmer. It's asking the farmer, what do you really want to measure? What is specific to your requirement? And then we find the right solution for that sensor. So it goes all the way across from rumen boluses to water meter monitoring. So there's quite a lot. I'll hand you over to Rod Cartwright just to run you through a number of the case studies that we've currently got underway that clearly demonstrate the sort of the practicality and ease of use for the sensors.
Thanks, Colin. So here we've got the central hub for the sensor data to flow into the dashboard is the LoRaWAN gateway. This device is typically located at a building that provides power and internet. We look for tall buildings to mount the external gateways, which then provide several miles of excellent network coverage. For indoor applications, we install what looks like a standard BT router. Okay, just I was still on the slide before, yeah. So don't mind, Colin. So for projects where there's no power or wired internet available, we've got a completely autonomous solar powered device. This slide here, we're working with egg producer clients. The Internet of Things gateway, pictured on the left, was installed in less than 5 minutes. It was simply screwed to the wall, plugged into the socket outlet and into a standard broadband internet router. We then screw small battery-powered LoRaWAN devices within the hen houses. These devices collect water consumption data, temperature, humidity, light and sound data, and we're also monitoring the feed consumption by weighing the silo outside. Okay. This slide here, this is a local cheese producer that they've got an underground wastewater storage tank which are remote from their factory. At least once a day in all weathers, they had to walk over to the tanks, lift the manhole cover and manually dip the tanks with a stick. Without the need for power or cellular SIM cards, we have installed a LoRaWAN IoT device which measures accurately to the millimeter the liquid level and sends the data every 30 minutes to the dashboard that they can see from their PC or smartphone. Okay. This client is a client with several water meters spread out across a 200-acre site, and they've suffered several major water leaks. The cost to the client was many thousands of pounds. The water meters are manually checked once a month. We've installed a LoRaWAN device, which you can see on the left there, that transmits the meter consumption data every 30 minutes. The device is almost a mile away from the receiving antenna. It's down a pit and it's under a manhole cover. We've created a virtual meter reading to save manual visits and automated alerts should the meters leak again. The image on the left is a photo taken at Duchy College. This is where we've got a fully autonomous weather station installed. The power is derived from the solar radiation sensor. As well as taking readings, it's supplying power to an onboard battery, which then provides power to the rain gauge, temperature and humidity sensor, CO2, wind speed and direction sensors. As this is a LoRaWAN based radio technology, we can site these weather stations several miles away from the main farm buildings. Okay. In these images, we're showing you some very practical applications of LoRaWAN technology. We've installed a temperature sensor on several bulk milk tanks and gather real-time data remote from the sites. We're also collecting temperature and status data from the refrigerant cooling systems that cool the milk. With this data, we're able to provide real-time alerts to the processors as well as the farmers. Here we have water pumping and booster system examples. Boreholes are often distant from the farm buildings, and problems are only brought to attention when the storage tank is empty. We have installed static pressure sensors on the borehole pump output to ensure the correct water pressure is provided and water level monitoring in the storage tanks. The image on the slide is a water booster set. Again, this is distant from the main building assets and ideal for LoRaWAN monitoring. We monitor the status of the water booster, water storage tank, and all the run times. The image on the left there is a shipping container freezer facility. This insulated steel container is chilled to -20 degrees for long-term storage of our client's raw ingredients. Before now, the client was unable to deploy a temperature and humidity sensor due to the connectivity issues associated with this thick steel box. The LoRa radio signal easily penetrates this casing, and we provide data to their dashboard every 15 minutes. In this live example, we alerted the client to an irregular rise in temperature on a Sunday morning, and when the facility manager attended, they found the cooling fan had failed. Okay, Colin.
Okay, thanks, Rob. So what you saw there is just some really pertinent case studies that really provide immediate returns to the user. What we also an additional feature within the system within Glascore is that we have a mapping module so that it allows you to also geolocate and pin data anywhere on your farm. So you can actually mouse over and get sensor information from the maps themselves. So what does it mean for you practically? So the three main areas, obviously, it's increased automation. So there's immediate time savings and the associated cost savings just by automating your data. So that is a very clear and quick win for you. The other is the real-time monitoring and alerts, which we'll demonstrate to you in a little while, which also can offer you very real cost savings when in mitigating issues that you can identify very quickly and resolve before they become really big problems. And also we've got greater productivity. So by finding those efficiencies and identifying those efficiencies with real-time data, you can actually then achieve greater cost savings in that result. So just to summarize, so we have the improved economic benefits, more efficient and sustainable production, bringing the data all into one place allows you to discern the valuable data from from the clutter. You're able to identify those better performance standards using your data and establish a set of best practices through your data, and highlight poor performance as well. So you can very clearly see when there's something trending in the wrong direction. And then the real-time data can offer those immediate improvements and mitigations. So what I'll do is I'll hand over to Rob right now. I'll stop sharing my screen and Rob will give you a live demonstration of the dashboard as it is.
Okay, all right. Let me just start sharing. Okay, so yeah, I will now try and put some of this all into context and actually show you how it works in the system. So you've seen kind of some of the use cases that we've shown you, how the IoT devices can be deployed, and how other bits of information can come into your account and kind of all come together to form a bigger picture of what your business is up to and what it's doing. So we'll try and see some of that now in Colin's account and see what he's been up to. So the way you access our system is either through the mobile app or through just standard internet web browser. You go to core.clouds-data.com.login. And once you have an account, you simply enter your details like any other system and log in. And the first thing that you come to is what we call the dashboard. So you're being greeted here by quite a busy chart, which I do apologize for, but basically this is 3 bits of information coming from a sensor that we've actually got in our office that's giving us light information, temperature information, and humidity. And now we're looking at about a month's worth of information here, all charted and trended. But the whole point, this area here that you're looking at is completely customizable to your needs. So for example, you might just care about the temperature itself. So we can create gauges and dials which give you specific information which say, okay, this is the latest value, for example, if you're a poultry farmer in chicken shed 1, or if you're a dairy farmer, this is the bulk milk tank temperature right now, and it's within your safe level. When you click on this button here on the bottom left, you can see that you can create any number of charts over any number of sort of time ranges. So you can track any sort of KPI. You'll also notice here that in this dial in particular, you've got red zones, yellow zones, this nice blue zone, and then the same again on the left-hand side. This basically indicates safe and unsafe areas. So for example, if you want to see when a particular temperature or any sort of information, if you're a dairy farmer, perhaps it's butter, fat and protein levels are reaching areas that you consider unfavorable, then you can set warnings up so that you can actually see that and it's getting really close to that red zone and perhaps you should take some action. I'm just going to drill down now into the data itself. So you'll notice on the left-hand nav bar here, we've got several icons. This little document icon here takes you to the data section. So if we click there, we have a bunch of what we call topics here. So a topic is any bit of information that has a specific structure to it. So we have here things like CO2, pressure, rain gauges, humidity sensors. This is radiation, so solar radiation. But this could also be animal medical information. So if you're a sheep farmer, it could be medical information that you give to any member of the flock. It could be tracking time spent from any employees, whether part-time or full-time. It could be information about tractors or any sort of assets spread over the farm. But in this case, we're focusing on IoT, so this account is all IoT data. So if I click, for example, on this topic here, which is the weather station that you saw in one of the previous slides, and this is the humidity reading coming off that weather station, we then get greeted with what we call the asset page. So this shows how many things do you have that are relevant to this information. So in this case, we've just got one weather station, but if you take the example of a flock, then it would be all of your sheep in the flock, or if you take the example of temperature sensors, it would be any number of temperature sensors that you've deployed on your farm. They'd all appear here with their respective values. And then if we click on, in this case, the weather station, you then get a very Excel style table, which will give you all the latest readings. And you can see here, we've got about 15,000 bits of data here because this device has been set up for probably about 6 months now. It's been reporting information about every 15 minutes. And that's very customizable to your specific use case. You can also do things, so if I add a column here, you can also do things like write functions. So you can easily transform that information. We can do any operations we want on that information. Again, very similar to Excel. You can add text here, you can add dates, you can basically do whatever you want. I'll take you next to the alert section because a lot of what we talked about in the presentation and a lot of what we find when people want to invest in devices or when they have devices and they want to get the most out of them, a very quick and obvious solution to go down is give me a text message or an email when something goes wrong. So I'll show you how we can do that in our system. So we have this icon here, which is the exclamation mark, which is called real-time alerts. So if I click here, you can see that we've got 2 alerts here on the left already set up. We've got one for the temperature coming off that weather station. So if we click on this and have a look at it, we can go into the edit. We get this quite simple tree, which basically says, okay, when we're looking at the weather station and we're looking at the temperature coming off that weather station, If it is greater than or equal to 20, so if it goes to 20 degrees or above, then send me a text message with a customized message in it. And if it's less than 5 degrees, then send me a different text message with a different customized message in it. And I'll show you how to set up a new one quickly here. Colin, shall I use your number?
Yeah, please.
Just so it's quite simple if I copy that from there. So if we say create a new alert, and I'm going to monitor the humidity coming from that weather station that I showed you just a second ago. So if we say humidity alert, and we'll search for that weather station, which I believe is Meteohelix humidity. And we want the humidity column, and we want to, this says which, so if we had more than one weather station, it would ask you which weather station you want set up in the alert on, but in this case, we only have the one, so I'll just select that one. And now we're ready to go. Now I want to know if it gets to, I don't know, 90% humidity. So what we'll do is we'll say, if a value is greater than or equal to, we'll drag that on, enter the 90 value, and save that. And then we simply drag a connection between the weather station and that condition. And then I say, right, I want to get a text message when that happens. So I drag that on. I will paste in the phone number that I'm interested in, save that, and then drag that on there. And then I'm just going to send you a request code, Colin.
Okay.
You can read it out.
Okay, so it's 66P5 M4CO.
Okay, and then we're going to say high humidity. Humidity. There we go. Now then, basically this is all set up and ready to go. So as soon as that humidity sensor reads a value greater than or equal to 90, we'll get a text message. And we can just demonstrate that by finding the humidity sensor. Here it is. And we'll enter some fake information to say that it's gone above 90. So we put in 92 here, and we create the event. I don't know if you can see a text message and show it on the screen, Colin.
Yeah, I'll just wait for it to pop up. There we go. So we've got, I don't know if you can see that. And then just if we go...
You might need some glasses. Anyway, a quick and simple, I'll delete that information now so we don't muck it up. But that's literally as easy as it is. So you can do that for any information that's coming into the system. So if you've got the bulk milk tank and it goes above 4.5 degrees or whatever threshold you want, or if you've got a freezer that's storing something and it comes above about -8, you can set that to text you, and it will, within about 10 seconds of the reading being produced, you will then have an alert. The last thing I'll show you quickly before we go to our Q&A session is the mapping side of things. So we have our map set up so you can bring in information from other mapping modules. So if I just zoom out here, if I zoom in, we've got some field data here in the southwest. So this has actually been imported from an external mapping system, and we bring it in here. And once it's been imported, you can then actually link. So in this case, you can link fields to any specific information relevant to that field. I have an example pin here, which you can add to the map, which at the moment doesn't have anything connected to it. But if we go back to the data section, if we find that humidity again, here we go, here's the humidity. And if we link it to, so if we click on the location, and I'm going to find my pin, which I've named example pin, and assign that to the map. And then if we go back to the maps, we'll find that pin, example pin, and then you can simply click on it. It'll tell you what it's linked to. So for example, if you want to link it to multiple things, you can do that. And you simply say, right, I want to know what the reading is on the weather station, and it will give you the latest value. So if it's kind of a quicker and easier way of accessing information if you prefer to do things on a map. I'll leave it there for now. I'll stop sharing my screen, and then I'll hand over to a Q&A session. Thank you very much. Colin, do you want to share your slides again?
Okay, so anyway, that's our very brief presentation, but I'm sure you've seen quite a few different things that we can offer you through our dashboard. We'd love to have any, if you've got any questions for us, we'd love to take them.
So every question's been answered.
Everything been answered. Yep. Is there anything on the
question incoming? Apparently.
I can't seem to.
3 questions from David. I'll read them out to you, Colin.
Yeah. My mouse is tied to the presentation, so I can't use it.
No worries. Right, the first one. So from David, thank you very much for your question, David. So question number 1 is, the main challenges in this space are cost. Are you guys competitive relative to other suppliers? Rob and Colin, do you want to take that one first?
Yeah.
Well, I think the first thing I'd say, there's other suppliers. There aren't really any other suppliers at this level of integration. But as well as the level of integration we've got, we've actually done so much towards obviously looking at the costs and keeping the costs down, and because we know the technology inside out, we're really sort of got a keen price there. So Colin, do you want to add to that?
Yeah, so what we've actually done is, that's part of the sort of our ethos, is we don't want to reinvent the wheel. Where we can actually find cost savings for our customers, we've looked for the technology that's there and existing and off the shelf that we can actually adapt and deploy with our dashboard to give the best solution for the customer. So right from the beginning, what we're doing is just trying to drive that, keep that cost manageable to allow the user to best get the derive the best use out of the technology by using more sensors to measure more data. So we've tried to do that in the best way we can. Yeah.
Yeah, and obviously it goes without saying that some of the sensors there are more expensive than others, but that, for example, an indoor temperature and humidity sensor it starts very affordably, and then we'll scale up with the complexity of the hardware. Second question from David, as accessibility, if the user is less familiar with configuration and setup, what support is available both upon the setup and throughout the use of the tools and the hardware? So Rob, do you want to do this from a hardware perspective, and then Colin, we can do this from a software perspective?
Yes, yeah. So actually we don't expect the users to be familiar at all with the configuration, because that's all the effort we've done in the last 3 years, and all the effort we've put into seamlessly integrating all of the LoRaWAN devices straight into the Glasscore dashboard. So what we're actually doing is these LoRaWAN devices, as they're provisioned onto the network, they just go straight to the Glasscore dashboard. We're not expecting, it's not, let's say, it's not a case of trying to work out all the ins and outs of the hardware devices. We don't want the users to do that at all. We've done that. They're literally the user, if they want the temperature from a milk tank, we give them a temperature sensor to put in the milk tank. We don't expect them to configure it at all. It's all done in the background. If you want to have a chat about the front end side, Colin.
Yeah. So essentially, I'll just take the egg producer as an example. So in his case, it's more or less because those sensors are portable and he's got the internal gateway. it's essentially internet in a box. We can actually post that off to the user. The sensors, by the time we've sent it off, the sensors have been provisioned and activated in sort of a low power mode, ready to be used, and are actually already pinging the dashboard. The dashboard's already ready to go that we've configured. When the user receives the box, if they take it out and plug the gateway in, the sensors, and just notify us that they've received them, we get the sensors back up, we wake them up to back to full power again, to the right intervals, and away they go. That's all they have to do, is just essentially going out to wherever they need to place the sensor and to either screw it on or put it on with cable ties to wherever it's needed to be. So it's a very, very simple process. And we do have a knowledge base in the background with support staff ready to walk any user through the process. And there's the knowledge base website where they can come and get their tutorials or frequently asked questions. So we're trying to make it as simple as possible for a user to come on board and take these sensors straight out of the box. There's some bigger sensors, for instance, the weather station, where installation could possibly be required from our side, or an external gateway, where we would actually work with the user to get the best result there. But a lot of the sensors can be directly out of the box and be utilized straight away.
Cool. Okay. So, sorry, Rob.
Sorry. Yeah. So just finish up on question 2 of David's there, but also picking up Will Pritchard's question about the steps and support for connecting IoT equipment to the network. Essentially, if the device comes from us, it's out of the box. You don't need to set it up at all. If it's a device supplied by others, but it is the same, let's say, make and model or family of device that we use ourselves, again, that's just seamless. That device would actually then just be provisioned onto our network, which we can support with, and straight away all of that data will get converted and put straight into the Glasgow dashboard. We've got over 70 different sensors now across a broad range of manufacturers that we've connected to the Glasgow dashboard with all the decoding of those that sensor payload. So if you're either a sensor from us or a sensor from elsewhere, if it's within that range, if it's one of those, if it's a make and model like we know, then that'll just go straight through. We just need to connect it to the network.
So I hope, David, that answers question 3 as well, which was about interoperability and if he's invested in other IoT sensors, basically. So the answer is, yeah, like Rob said, if it's a sensor or a sensor family that we already use, then it should be seamless. Yeah. If it's not, if it's something that we haven't come across yet, then it probably is integratable, but there would probably be some work in the background just to connect it up to our network and make sure that it's pinging through correctly.
Yeah, I think
probably something we can look at.
Rob, on David's question 3 there,
yeah.
I think what it could be is, as well as just devices, IoT, other IoT tools. What we'd actually find there is if it's another platform or different devices, it could be NB-IoT, it could be a cellular device. What we looked at there is the webhooks, the API integrations. But these are all things that we're so familiar with that we can work with you to bring them into the Glasgow dashboard.
So a bonus question from David, which I'll take this one. So he said, you mentioned AI. How does leveraging the data your tools collect this feature in your? How does this collect this feature in your future development roadmap? So at the moment we have no AI in the system that we've shown you. We're kind of working on it in the background because we realized that in order to create an effective artificial intelligence without getting too in depth about too technical with it, you have to be able to have all the information that you need in one place in the first place. So the future vision for the system is to be able to automatically recognize the relationships between all these things that you're collecting. So I'll take the case of a dairy farmer. You want to either increase maybe the butterfat content or the volume of your milk, depending whether you're going for the liquid milk market or the cheese market. So you decide that you want to focus on one of these particular variables. Our system will be able to look at all the other information that's in your account, whether it's coming from IoT data, whether it's coming from spreadsheets that you've imported or third-party suppliers. It'll be able to determine the relationships between all of those things and be able to tell you at what level you should put everything in order to maximize your butterfat content or the volume of your milk. And the same goes for example, sustainability. So let's say that I want to minimize my CO2 outputs and I have installed CO2 sensors. So the system will be able to look at all the variables that you're collecting and it'll be able to tell you the relationship between those and your CO2 and how to minimize those levels. And this is something that we hope to be introducing to the market next year. But like I said, the step one is to be able to create a system which can hold all of this information first before you can then go and create the AI. There are too many tools out there which say they've created AI, but it's that saying which if you put bad stuff in, you get bad stuff out. So you need to be able to discern what's relevant first, and then we can start using tools like artificial intelligence to help you minimize or maximize and help predict certain future scenarios. A question from Garant. Sorry, yeah. My pronunciation isn't the best.
So Garant, your question there, do you offer on-site support if required? Yes, but in most cases we don't need to because we've got such a wealth of on-site experience with photos of taking videos, how-to videos of installing the different sensors. Most of the time we actually do this with remote support. So what we'll do is say to a client, okay, this is how we've installed these in the past with several examples. If that's a gateway, we'd show maybe 15, 20 different gateway installations, and we can support there. If it's sensors, we show photographs of how the sensors were installed and technical details there. But yes, if need be, then we're quite happy to go on site because we've been on site doing this for the last 3 years anyway, so we've got plenty of experience in it. Okay. And
Rob, also you've got that network of technicians that you can call on.
Yes, yeah, because for actual support around the UK, we've actually got teams who can do the installs with us, and we've got teams based in there's a pair in the Wirral, so covering North Wales. We've got a pair in Shrewsbury who do all of into South Wales and round up to Shropshire area. We've got all our London teams and that, so there's plenty of people to help us. But most of the time we actually do it via video support and video meetings, like everything these days.
Brilliant. Okay, I think that's all the questions. So unless anyone's got any more, thank you very much.
Okay, hoffwn diolch yn fawr I Robert, Colin and Rob. I'd like to say a big thank you to Robert, Colin and Rob. Os hoffwch fwy o wybodaeth am yr hyn sydd gan Cystell Ffemio, yw gwneud darllenwch yr atoniad yn yr e-bost a afnadod atych y bore yma, neu ewch I wefan Cystell Ffemio. If you require any more information on what Farmer Connect has to offer, please see the attachment in the email which was sent to you this morning or visit the Farmer Connect website.